Good Thursday, April the 18th, everyone. Hunter here again at Weather on the Go. And in today's weather forecast, we do have an enhanced risk of severe weather today across portions of the middle of the country with damaging winds, large hail, and some tornado threat. We'll dive into those details. Also, a strong cold front will bring widespread chances for a frost and a hard freeze to parts of the country for multiple days this upcoming weekend. And we're looking at the end of the month, very end of the month here of April. We could have some active weather with some heavy rain and more severe weather chances. We'll dive into everything that you need to know in today's weather forecast. If you are new here to Weather on the Go, make sure to subscribe to the channel down below, especially if you do like detailed but accurate weather forecasts. We will keep you covered throughout the year. Also, be sure to press the like button, the thumbs up button down below. It helps out more than you know. Let's go back to yesterday. We did have some severe weather on Wednesday, April 17th across the Ohio Valley, the southern Great Lakes, even back here into the Central Plains. We have widespread areas of some wind and hail reports from southern lower Michigan into northeastern Indiana, Ohio especially there into western Pennsylvania, northern West Virginia, even a couple of those into northeastern and northern portions of Kansas as well. Thankfully, though, no tornadoes reported yesterday. But let's look here at the surface map. So we have a surface low pressure system down here across portions of southern Kansas today, this morning. That will move towards portions of central Illinois tonight. So we're going to see that track from southern Kansas up here into central Illinois tonight, bringing that warm sector up toward the Ohio River Valley, and then that system will move eastward here towards Akron, Ohio by the time we get into your Friday morning time frame tomorrow morning. So let's look here at the risk of severe weather. There is an enhanced risk, a level 3 out of 5 on the risk scale of severe weather across eastern portions of Missouri, southern Illinois, getting into southwest Indiana, western Kentucky and Tennessee, and far northeastern Arkansas. The slight risk extends back toward Little Rock here into central Arkansas, southeastern Oklahoma, and back into northern but also central Texas today. Looking at the biggest risks to the lowest risks here for severe weather, we have some damaging wind potential, especially in this red shaded color in excess of 60 miles per hour today, but we could still see that across portions of the brown and yellow shaded color back here towards Texas. We also have a threat for hail, even significant hail, back into portions of central Texas. We definitely could be seeing some hailstones over 2 inches in diameter. That is hen egg size or larger. And then a couple of tornadoes cannot be ruled out as well, especially up here into portions of the mid-Mississippi Valley, into eastern Missouri, southern Illinois, southwestern Indiana, into western Kentucky, Tennessee, and parts of Arkansas. But, still could have a tornado, a brief one, into central Texas as well later on today. Let's look at the setup here for severe weather. We have a cold frontal boundary with that low pressure system that will be tracking from southern Kansas to central Illinois. Along that cold frontal boundary and ahead of it, we're going to see warm and moist and unstable air, dew points rising into the 50s and 60s. Instability will be strong and stronger with southwestward extent. Back here into the southern plains toward North Texas, those instability values approaching 4,000 joules per kilogram. That's why the hail risk is significant, with 2 inches or larger diameter hailstones in this vicinity, because the instability is so extreme. And we have a low-level jet that's helping to rotate some storms up here into eastern Missouri and southern Illinois. So that's the strongest area of that low-level jet up here into the orange. That's around 30 to 40 knots. That is enough to rotate some of these storms along the leading edge of that line as it moves through. Let's look at the precip chances as we go through the day here. This morning, a mesoscale convective vortex is going to be moving through portions of Iowa, northern Missouri, and western Illinois. Along the leading edge, could have some gustier winds, some smaller hail, but certainly some heavy rainfall this morning. As we go into the afternoon, notice it doesn't move too far to the east. We still have that moving from around Rockford, Illinois, back through the Davenport Quad Cities, through Kirksville, Missouri, and Quincy, Illinois, and then back here toward portions of Joplin and Springfield, Missouri. We are watching, though, for a couple of supercells to develop from Tulsa all the way down to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Those could pose the risk for damaging winds, hail, and a couple of brief tornadoes there. And then as we go into the evening, the main QLCS line of storms will be tracking here from Kalamazoo, Michigan, down through Indianapolis into Carbondale, all the way back down here through portions of Jonesboro, Arkansas. Widespread threat for some damaging winds in excess of 60 miles per hour. Some hail and a few tornadoes along the way will be possible there. More of an isolated mode of severe weather down across Texas and Arkansas, but any one of these storms will become supercellular, producing large to very large hail, damaging winds, and a couple of brief tornadoes, especially there from portions of Little Rock down towards Texarkana, the Dallas-Fort Worth area, into portions there of Paris, Texas, and then getting down towards San Antonio this evening. And then as we go into early Friday morning, that will shift further east, so places like Ohio, eastern Kentucky, middle and eastern Tennessee, and parts of the northern Dixie Alley here will be seeing some showers and storms early on your Friday before sunrise and after midnight. So we'll keep an eye on that. Like I said, Friday the 19th, that low pressure system will be up here toward Akron, Ohio, the warm sector lifting north across the southeastern U.S. We do have a little bit of those dew points rising into the 50s and 60s out here across the southeast during the day on Friday. That will contribute to at least moderate instability from Mississippi into Alabama, Georgia, but also up into the Carolinas, and perhaps some weaker instability even up there into Virginia. So there is a threat of a marginal risk. This is a level 1 out of 5, a low-end risk of severe weather tomorrow on Friday from the Carolinas back through Georgia. This does include the Atlanta area, back into Columbia, South Carolina, up toward Raleigh and Charlotte, and then back here towards the Birmingham, Tuscaloosa region into north central Alabama on your Friday. All modes of severe weather in play there, but mainly looking at damaging winds and hail. The tornado risk is very low. Going into the weekend, folks, we got another bout of some heavier rain down here across portions of the southern plains. Even some snow back here into northeast Colorado, the panhandle of Nebraska, and southeastern Wyoming as that colder Canadian high pressure system starts to slide in from southern Canada into the northern U.S., bringing that colder air mass further south with it. And look at that cold front and stationary boundary down here on Sunday near the Gulf Coast, but just north of the Gulf Coast here, and a very strong Canadian high pressure system across the central U.S. will be ushering in some cooler weather for the weekend. And you can see here this round of storms that we're seeing today and on Friday and in through the weekend could be giving us some heavy rain across portions of the country here, up across the Midwest into the Ohio Valley. We're averaging probably around a ½ inch to an inch of rain. Some areas a little bit less, some areas a little bit more. And the heaviest rains will be down here into Texas Hill Country, southeastern Oklahoma, into southern Arkansas. That'll stretch over into northern Louisiana, into Mississippi, and perhaps even northern Alabama as well. That's the corridor where we're looking at 2 to 4 inches of rain between now and Sunday night here late this weekend on the 21st of April. So watching out for some flash flooding down there. That strong high pressure system and cold front will be making its way further to the south, bringing in that colder Canadian air mass across portions of the central U.S. as we go into Friday, but especially this weekend on Saturday and then Sunday. Look at those well below normal temperature anomalies entering into the Gulf Coast and the southeast there. And let's look at these temperatures. Tomorrow morning, we're already seeing a hard freeze and a frost up here across the northern U.S. from the upper Midwest westward through the high plains and the northern Rockies, much of southern Canada. Going into Saturday morning, that 30-degree line, 32-degree line, the freezing line there goes further to the south, southern Wisconsin, central Iowa, back there to central Nebraska and into Colorado. That's where that 32-degree line goes. So anywhere north of that, we're going to be seeing more of the hard freezes out there. Frosts more likely there for parts of the Great Lakes, the Midwest, and the Central Plains on Saturday morning. And then the same thing as we go into Sunday morning. So 2 to 3 days of widespread frost and hard freeze concerns across the northern U.S. And if you are in the dark green area up here, the upper Midwest, the high plains, the Great Lakes region there, and interior New England, we have to keep an eye on that very likely chance for frost or a hard freeze. Even if you're in the medium blue here, we definitely could be still seeing a likely chance of frost and hard freezes all the way south to Tulsa, to portions there of Fort Smith, Arkansas, the Nashville Jacksonville region, even down here into Richmond, Virginia. So make sure to cover up those sensitive plants and sensitive vegetation for the next couple of days going into the weekend, as it definitely will do some harm to those plants if those frost and freeze conditions do verify. And then as we go into next week, we are going to see a nice warm up. So after the cool down, we go right back up here with warmer temperatures, spring-like temperatures back across the middle of the country. But this will coincide with some above normal precipitation. So that means more heavy rain and severe weather could be on the table. Now we look over 7 days out or so, we look at what we call an ensemble model. This is kind of what we look at here for the big picture. This is the European ensemble model from Friday the 26th through next Sunday, the following Sunday, the 28th of the month, the last weekend of April. And look at this nice trough developing, long wave trough across the western U.S. here. The left exit region of the jet stream is going to be across the Great Plains and into the Midwest here. And you can see in that area on Friday the 26th, we have some probabilities of over 1,000 joules per kilogram here already, all the way up to Kansas City, around a 50% chance of that occurring on Friday. And then you can see on Saturday, still pretty robust, the chances of those 1,000 plus joules per kilogram instability all the way up there into the plain states. And then that continues even into Sunday. So we may have a multi-day threat of severe weather as we do round out the month there of April. And this is typically what we see, the area that we see for severe weather, a climatology for late April, southern plains, central plains, and parts of the Midwest there. We start to get a little bit more active with our severe weather chances as we do get towards late April, but even more so as we turn into early May. And you can see here on the guidance, there is a big signal here that a bigger storm is going to be brewing with that long wave trough moving in across the west. That left exit region of the jet stream will be providing us with more heavy rain, but also multi-day threat of severe weather, potentially another outbreak as we go toward late April here, the last weekend of the month. So we'll be keeping an eye on that for you folks. Make sure to have multiple ways to receive watches and warnings today. There is an enhanced risk across the mid-Mississippi Valley. All modes are on the table here: damaging winds, large to very large hail, and a few tornadoes. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope everyone has a wonderful rest of their Thursday out there.